here I am in Qatar, halfway around the world, and in a few hours I'll be riding motorcycles, adventure bikes on the dirt roads in Nepal. Am I crazy or what? I don't know. My sister's messaging me. If my mother was around, she'd be having a heart attack. My wife is like, what are you doing? These lounge chairs. Like I said, this Qatar airport, I saw some ratings that I think Singapore may be number one. This one's right in the ballpark, though. It's the nicest airport by a long shot of any I've ever been to. So I'm sitting.
نذكر السادة المسافرين بأن بوابات الخروج إلى الطائرة ستغلق قبل وقت الإقلاع ب20 دقيقة.
Passengers are reminded that boarding gates will close 20 minutes prior to the departure time. Good
to know. I'm in Doha right now, Qatar, and just the differences that you see. That's one example. Like they have a doorway to get into where the gates are, and like they were just saying, they close those 20 minutes before the flight goes. So you got to make sure you're in there. My flight doesn't leave for another hour and a half. I've been here about 7 hours already. So yeah, I'm sitting here in Qatar. In a few hours, I'll be in Nepal, and I'll be riding a motorcycle. And I'm actually at this point a little bit nervous about it. And that's exactly why I did it. I mean, I think at some point, sometimes you got to get out of your comfort zone, and that's where you're going to grow. And they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks, but let's see if we can. Now, it's not that I haven't ridden a motorcycle before. I grew up riding motorcycles. My dad bought me a Honda. I think it was XR80 when I was about 8, and we rode motorcycles. That's all we did. We did that instead of video games. We didn't have video games back then. So we were on motorcycles constantly, me and my brother, and rode a whole lot, up till I was like 25. Then I didn't ride at all, and then about 3 years ago, I got back into it, took a motorcycle class, safety class, and got a license, and been riding street bikes. I've ridden a few times on the dirt, but nothing like what I'm going to get into in Nepal. Suspension bridges, riding on dirt roads, half dirt, half gravel, buses coming by, trucks coming by, traffic, cliffs, Himalayas, 15,000 feet up. It's going to be scary. I'm going to be out of my comfort zone for sure. I'm almost 60 years old, and I've spent my life building this company. I've been working on it 25 years. Prior to that, I was helping other people build companies. One sold for $168 million. Again, I was a small part of it. Another one sold for over $1 billion. Again, I was a tiny part of that, but I did have contributions to both of those. And then I've been in my business now for 25 years building it. And, I was doing that, building a family, raising kids. A lot of those times you're out of your comfort zone. When you get married, that's out of your comfort zone. When you have a kid, out of your comfort zone. Start a business, that's out of your comfort zone. Different changes, new products within the business, that's out of your comfort zone. So by that discomfort, and we don't like it. A lot of people don't like it. For me, I will say my personality, I like change. Like I like the challenges. But I also have a governor as in, okay, wait a minute, this one's, I'm not going to be bungee jumping or jumping out of an airplane or anything like that. Anything that when you go to get life insurance, they ask you if you do that activity, I don't do. Scuba diving, no. Jumping out of planes, no. No, I'm not going to go there. I know that sounds wimpy, but that's just the way I've always run my life. I want to do things that are fun, but not dangerous. And this one is pretty close to that borderline. I will say, when I first got back into motorcycle riding, when I rode 100 years ago, we didn't have any gear. I mean, some people, I guess, you had a helmet, but I never wore gloves my entire life, never wore boots, never wore any kind of leather, none of that stuff. It was all just jeans, football jerseys, whatever I had, just regular clothes, tennis shoes. And so when I got back into it, there's all this gear now. Everybody's wearing gear, and I was like, I'm not doing that. It's ridiculous. But now, after about 2 years into this, I've realized, okay, I think gear might be, not a bad idea. And then especially going off-road. So I've lived my whole life trying to save myself from injuries, so that I, wouldn't have just chronic injuries, chronic back pains, chronic knee pains. So I did for this one. I bought some pretty expensive knee braces, some gear for, I've got elbow pads in my jacket and all that. And we're not going to be going on a lot of roads fast, so I'm not really worried about that. But they'll definitely, I'll probably drop this bike a few times just for the terrain and all that. I do think it's important, and it's hard when you're younger to think of the long term. And, but if you break your life up into thirds, by the time, before you're 30, those first 30 years, then from 30 to 60, and 60 to 90, let's say, if we're lucky enough to live to 90, or some people longer than that, if I'm just now turning 60, if I live another 30 years, that's a long time to go without being able to do particular things that I might enjoy, like motorcycle riding. And I can't tell you, my friends and buddies and things, since I've been on this trip, have been like, I could never do that. My knees are too bad. My back's too bad. My neck, whatever. I've got arthritis in my wrist. So make sure you're taking care of yourself when you're younger, so that you can enjoy life when you get older, if you're lucky enough. There's no guarantee. You've got genetics, you've got your diet, your exercise. There's a variety of things that could happen. But if you limit your problems, if you limit your things that you're doing, one example, I was reading Elon Musk's book the other day, and in it, for his 40th birthday, I think it was, they had a sumo wrestler, and he jumps in there and, trying to show off, I guess, before everybody, to wrestle a sumo wrestler. Of course, the guy body slams him, throws his back out, and he has chronic back pain now, I think. From what he said, he's like sleeping on the floor a lot of times because his back hurts so much, so it's really limiting him in things he could do, because he did something very stupid. Wrestling, why wrestle a sumo wrestler? Why? That's just nothing. There's nothing good that could come from that. Why'd I pick adventure riding? This is why, but I think it's a lot like life. Like, you can't control everything. It's definitely fun. I love being outside in the scenery, being able to see things. I'm really looking forward to the Himalayas. I'm sure it's going to be just something. It's something I've never seen before. Mountains that are 25,000 feet. They're 10,000 feet higher than any mountain I've ever seen in the U.S. for sure.
الرجاء الانتباه. هذا هو نداء الصوت.
Anyway, so I'm going to take you along the ride. I'm going to video some on the bike, and I'm not doing travel videos. That's not my point here. My point is, what I'm trying to do is just share what I'm going through, and sharing what I've done to try to lead a balanced life. For a balanced life for me, I wanted to, number one, put God first and focus on my spirituality. I'm a Christian. Number two, be financially secure. I had Thomas Stanley as a teacher when I was in school. He wrote the book The Millionaire Next Door. I had him for 2 semesters, and from him I learned, strive for financial independence. If you can have financial independence, then that will give you a better chance of having a successful life, an enjoyable life. And so financial independence would be the second one. And then adventure and fun. We need to enjoy life, be positive, enjoy life. And it just does feel like with social media especially, but it's been this way forever, but things are a lot more negative. And a lot of it's hard. I see, even in the business world, the influencers that I see, it's so hard, you got to work harder. And I'm not saying you don't have to work hard, or it's going to help you to work hard, but you want to lead a balanced life. If you just go 100 miles an hour working, you're not going to be able to. Very, very, very few people can maintain that for a long period of time. And also, it's not fun. It's just not fun. I was watching Alex Hormozy, and a lot of people love him. Well, that's interesting. I was at a real estate conference last week, 2 weeks ago actually, and it was a room of about 800 real estate agents at a big mortgage company. And one of the guys talking mentioned Alex Hormozy, and asked, who knows Alex Hormozy? And not one single person raised their hand. No. So, yes, you feel like these guys have these big followings, and they do, millions of people, whatever. But there's still a ton of people that don't know who they are. Anyway, but Alex Hormozy, for those of you guys that know who he is, he appeals to certain people. He is a hard-driven kind of person, but when I listen to him, it's exhausting. It is absolutely exhausting. And I'm just here to say there's a different way. I'm running a company. We've done over $200 million in sales, and I didn't do it by, trying to work 100 hours a week, or When my kids had ball games, I was at all their ball games. I was at their practices. I still did my church events. I still hung out with my friends. I still did the things I enjoy doing. I didn't just feel like I got to be at the business, 7 days a week. Now, was I working at night sometimes? Yes. Was I having work weekends sometimes? Yes. Was I checking email constantly? Yes. But you can still do that within balance. And that's my message is, if you can have a purpose and you can focus on not just your business and financial well-being, not just your spirituality, not just your relationships. Final one I didn't mention earlier was health. Obviously your health and well-being. And then you want to have adventure and fun, that wraps it all together. So those are the things that I'm focused on myself. And by doing these videos, I think it helps me realize it. And hopefully I can become more balanced, but also want to share with you guys what I think would be beneficial for you. If you want to be successful, be financially independent, live a healthy life, have the ability to do adventures when you get older. When you get to be 60, 65, 70, can you still get out and do things? You got to take care of yourself when you're younger. So anyway, I'm getting ready to jump on this plane to Nepal, and we'll do some videos and have some fun. And I'm just going to lay it out there. So if I'm dropping motorcycles, I'm going to show it to you. So when I go across a suspension bridge and I'm puckering up, I will show it to you. So anyway, wish me luck. Thanks a lot. If you do all these things, you will finish well, and hopefully I will too.